He got hit with some good shots.
Well, I wonder what sort of advice he was giving him, because I don't know if Kobal knows where the punches are coming from, and certainly I don't know what advice to give him to start landing some of his own.
Third round, 2 in the bag already for James Degale. Interesting speaking to that familiar figure on the far side there, Nazim Hamed, who's here tonight to watch Callum Johnson. Naz was saying that he is really impressed with Degale. Loves the arrogance and the movement that Degale brings to his work. Interesting how much he's improved as a pro, I think, as well. He was booed on his debut, do you remember? And I think that hurt Chunky.
Well, I think it would hurt anybody when you've won a gold medal for your country. It was certainly undeserved, but he's winning all those fans over. I think there may be just a lot of people thought he's a little bit cocky, when actually he's a really nice guy and a great character. He's confident, but he's got reason to be confident.
Kobal just soaking it up. Degale had that outstanding amateur record, twice English ABA champion. He was looking for the hat-trick, and that was where he lost to George Groves, and that of course is why the talking goes on about that fight and whether or not Groves is capable of replicating that as a professional. But you watch Degale here and you see that he really does have terrific talent as he goes through the full gamut of his exhibition stuff here to some extent.
Well, this is all very good for Degale. He stumbled a little bit there, Kobal, from that shot. But as good as it is, what you want to see pretty shortly, he's relaxed, he's doing everything right of him. But I think the time's going to come in not too distant future when he's going to just show the class he's got and get this opponent out of there.
Experienced referee, Scottish referee Victor Loughlin, he's the man keeping a check on this, and he won't want to see Alpay take too much.
No, it doesn't look like he's got anything whatsoever to trouble Degale with. So really, it's going to come to a point where Degale just turns up the heat and gets him out of there. What he doesn't want to do is be taken in too many rounds, where it just takes away from the class that he's got. He needs a good stoppage here.
Well, Degale just allowing this smaller, almost bull-like figure of Alpay Kobal to get into his face, but now he's back where he likes to be, commanding centre ring and letting the punches flow again and showing good variety, body shots and then switching to head. Kobal just leaning on and keeping, or trying to keep, a tight guard, but it's easier said than done when punches come at so many good angles. That's a nice left hand though from Kobal. First one he's landed for some time, it might be said. Another round for Degale, Glenn.
Yeah, no trouble at all from Kobal, who looked very weary as he went back to that corner. The face very red and I'm sure pretty painful. He's took a lot of shots to that nose.
Just constantly keep doing it. It's lovely. He's awkward. Don't get frustrated with him. He's breaking up. He's getting really banged up now.
There's the stats which show the dominance of Degale. 44th to head, 33 to body, 77 punches landed in 3 rounds, and next to nothing coming back.
No, lovely punches through the middle. The uppercut worked very well. He's finding the gaps wherever he wants, really. But what we want to see is how he can do the extra and get his man out of there in a classy way.
I think the referee's just gone over and had a word with Alpay Kobal and his trainer Jean-Claude Bouche and say, right, you're into the 4th round and I want to see a bit more from you. He might be looking potentially at stopping this if Degale can put his foot on the accelerator once again. Degale effortlessly throwing punches from both flanks. Jim McDonnell was telling him not to get frustrated, to continue relying on his boxing skills. Well, Kobal's coming forward and he's trying to throw shots. Easier said than done, though.
But all he's doing is walking on to more punches, especially that uppercut. He hasn't really got the speed or the urgency to put the pressure on Degale.
Degale's learning nothing from this, I think it needs to be said.
No, I mean, he's getting some work, getting rid of any rust, practicing a few things in the gym. But to really, you know, be impressive, he needs to get a good stoppage here. I don't think a points victory would do him any favours.
Well, Paul Smith was a class above this fella. Showing strength, determination, but a little bit embarrassing as he tried to wind up those uppercuts and missed by a country mile. Good left hand. You might have heard in the corner Jim McDonald saying, "Good shot, son," as Degale was able to bring that left uppercut up through the gloves and now begins to mount his attack.
Yeah, this is what we want to see. Sustained attack is all it'll take to really get Kobal out of there, I fear.
And you want to see Degale finish this one now, Glenn?
Yeah, pretty much. I think we've seen as much as we want to see. We can tell Kobal hasn't really got anything to trouble Degale, so really it's about closing the show, putting on a championship performance.
The nose of Kobal is reddened, a little bit of blood coming from the nostrils. It tells his own story. He's had to absorb an awful lot, and Degale is doing pretty much as he pleases. Right hand from Kobal came back and just clipped Degale on the left hand side of his face.
Well, there's reason for him getting a little bit cocky in there and taking a few little risks, Degale, because there hasn't been much come back at him, but he can't really afford to take anything.
Unanswered punches, there must have been 8 or 9 of them in that attack from Degale, and most of them found the target. Another good round for the British champion. 1 or 2 in amongst the applause, polite applause, 1 or 2 derisory sounds as well, and I think it's really more for the effort of this fella who's been pretty much so far outclassed.
Oh, doesn't really look like he's got anything to trouble Degale with. Shakes his head there. I'm sure the corner want him to do a little bit more and show a bit more urgency and at least have a last-ditch effort. But what I want to see is, I don't want to see Degale just coast a little bit and become lazy. You want to see a bit of urgency, and the fact that, you know, he's not lazy, he can work hard, he can force a stoppage. He's still got, you know, you still need to see that determination to show something special.
Kobal came in having lost 4 of his last 5 fights, looking as though he's heading towards another defeat on that record. Jim McDonald just reminding Degale to stay switched on, don't get careless. Remember, Kobal has fought many times as a light heavyweight, a division up from Degale, so although smaller and not in as good condition, you'd expect him to be naturally strong. Degale just appears to have taken his foot off the gas just a little here in this 5th round.
Yeah, and that's what we don't want to see. We want to see a real quality performance here. He's got an opponent to make him look great, you know, and so far he's done nothing wrong at all, except showing us that little touch of urgency to get the job done.
Penny for the thoughts of George Groves. I guess he'll be watching this pretty closely somewhere and saying, yeah, well, this is what I tell you. He's not the finished article, and there are still things that he does wrong which I'm going to be able to exploit.
Well, so far I haven't seen that much that he's done wrong in this performance.
Apart from, hasn't got the man out of there.
No, but I think, you know, that should just come. I just want to see the sustained attack that forces the referee to get Kobal out there. He needs an excuse. He's certainly rocking around.
That's it, he's finished it, he's stopped it. stopped boxing, nothing was coming back. Nothing was coming back for quite a lot of that fight. But look at his face. You see the accumulated effects of those eye-catching punches that Degale produced and was able to produce throughout the fight. Shakes his head a little bit disconsolately, and I'm sure that the fans maybe would have liked to have seen Degale pressed harder, but what he did was pretty good. And that's Dad Leroy sitting at ringside. He's going to be a happy man. Leroy Degale, a man with the hardest handshake just about in the world. He'll be a very happy man, and James Degale gets another victory and moves onwards towards maybe that fight against George Groves. It's the one we want to see, but that makes it 10 wins out of 10.
Ladies and gentlemen, at 1 minute 37 seconds of round 5, your referee has stopped the contest. He deemed Alpay Kobal was in no position to continue. The winner in the blue corner from Harlesden, London, James Chunky Degale. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the brave Alpay Kobal.
Well, now 10 straight wins for James Degale, but we didn't learn an awful lot about him from that, did we? We'll be hearing from him in a couple of minutes' time. Up next.